Hi everyone, I'm Wrong Rookie, and this time, this is just my review of Ghost 1.0, a game developed by @unepic_Fran. Yeah, the developer just goes by that name, and I don't know in all honesty. What I do know is that Ghost 1.0 is an overall solid game that mixes between Metal Gear and Metroid. The story setting is futuristic. The Nakamura Corporation has built a sort of supercomputer-like androids called Naka, who are just as capable of doing work as humans. Which, come to think of it, we are now in that period where AI could take over jobs. Huh. The game predicted the future of our universe. Anyways, that doesn't suit well for Jacker and Bogan, two geeks who are in pursuit of getting the information from the Nakamura Corporation. So they end up hiring an agent called Ghost to investigate the corporation and find the information they want. I really like the characters in the game, as there's a lot of personality to them. Jacker and Bogan are this game's main comedy, and I always get a laugh out of most of their dialogues, even if they break the fourth wall.
But hypothetically, what if we became famous?
Well, heroes of games tend to be male, white, and hunks. I am fat. You are black, and Ghost is female, so our chances look pretty grim.
Are you serious? What's with the discrimination?
Don't ask me. A game is supposed to sell better if the hero has that profile.
Damn, I wanted to star in a video game.
Ah yes, Boogan the Assassin. A good man on the wrong side of the law. Face it, Boogan, you wouldn't make an interesting character.
It's also nice that you get dialogues during gameplay, adding a bit more to the game's charm.
Do you two realize that you've left your comm lines open?
Hello, you've reached
The voice acting for the most part is good too. The voice actors behind Ghost, Jacker, and Bogan really did a fine job of portraying the characters. The only one I'm not sure of is this one here.
What percentage of our plants have been destroyed?
Yeah,
Sir,
too cheesy
no plants
for
were
my
harmed.
taste. While the story is good, I can't say the same for graphics. I mean, it's okay for what it is, but the animations feel lifeless and don't have much expression in them. At least the cutscenes look good. One weird thing in the graphics side of things is that you have to turn no more than 60 frames off for it to run smooth 60 frames for some reason. And I honestly don't understand why dynamic lighting needs the GPU here to run the game. I mean, the game's Steam page says that you need 512 MB of VRAM of NVIDIA GeForce. What happens if one were to use an AMD graphic card instead? Also, why would it cause issues for an Intel graphics card? I know that 2D games do require a GPU in a lot of cases, and I'm not saying that the game shouldn't make use of one, but the specs mentioned here are a bit too vague, with recommended just fully ignored. Not that I don't have the specs to run the game, but you'd think for a 2D game like this, you wouldn't need a lot of the GPU's power. Moving on to the music, I like it. Main theme that plays is very catchy, and the atmosphere captures the game feel here. The only issue I have with the music is that it doesn't loop well, as there is a bit of silence before it loops again, which ruins it a little, at least to me. And now we touch into the gameplay. Note that for this review, I have gone with the classic mode where it plays like a typical action-adventure game. Survival mode is just a mode that does things randomly like a roguelike, and fearing that I wouldn't be able to beat it, I just stick to classic mode. As for how it turns out, from the looks of it, you shoot enemies, get items to make progress, and beat the boss to go to the next level. To go to the next level, you must find 4 of the color key cards Cubes are this game's main currency, and you use them for buying items and upgrades. You get them by mostly defeating enemies or destroying boxes, but the longer you take to get them, the more value they lose before they disappear. You can also get cubes by pressing these switches that are guarded by lasers and defeating a bunch of enemies first. Be warned though that every time you do this, the enemies get tougher, but you get more cubes. But luckily, you can get out of this quickly with Jack's help if you want to drop out of it. But if you're thinking you'd get something like a metroidvania, you'd be mistaken. I mean, sure, you get a map layout that has levels interconnected, and you do get upgrades like increasing your HP and more ammo, but you don't get much of the newer permanent abilities that make progress easier. Instead, you just get better weapons, which you mainly use for combat. There are no permanent moves you unlock when beating a boss or exploring certain paths. However, you do get choices later on where you can get abilities with a certain number of skill points. These skill points are found next to the color key cards. I can't tell whether certain of these moves, like the hovering, are needed for game progression, but because you are given a choice on what abilities you want to get, I doubt that these are forced on you, and I got through a lot of the levels fine without these abilities. This is why I mentioned earlier that it plays a lot like Metroid and Metal Gear. You go around exploring levels and finding your way around, like in Metroid, and getting certain key items, having moments of stealth, and getting character conversations like in Metal Gear. Oh yes, there's a lot of stealth in this game. You have to turn yourself in ghost form and possess an enemy robot to open certain doors, or just kill it and possess another form until it's safe to move forward, and I must admit that it is fun doing this. It's also used to get these white spots when you beat all enemies in one room to get certain upgrades. Yeah, I don't get this one at all. There are also puzzles that you must solve using the enemy bodies too, but these puzzles are fairly easy to solve and are few and far between. You also have certain missions that require you to get a certain number of collectibles. The problem here is that if you die, you have to get the collectibles all over again, unlike in most cases where you can get the upgrades from where you last died. Overall, I would say that the level design is pretty good, with a lot of variety in them. Sure, they're all in a futuristic setting, but each level has their own gimmick that makes them stand out. The only main gripe I have with this one is the difficulty. Early on in the game, enemies are way hard on you, and this is the main reason why you have to get the powerful weapons and upgrades to make this easier for you, especially for the boss fights, which took me several tries to beat even the first one. This part is the only one I got frustrated the most, because again, not only did I have to grind those beat-em-up areas to get more cubes, I also have to cough enough dough to get newer levels of those upgrades. Overall, with a likable cast, catchy music, and solid gameplay, Ghost 1.0 should be on your wish list if you are into action games with a twist. Well, that is it with this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and in the meantime, thank you for watching Gaming Roki. Have a good one.